Good evening. Yesterday morning, we lost a friend and a colleague. Former captain of Portland Fire Brigade and 4th Lieutenant Garry Mallen was responding to a shed fire with members of the Portland Fire Brigade and Fire Rescue Victoria. Upon arriving at scene, a short time thereafter, Garry collapsed. Despite the efforts of the crews on scene, including the CFA crews and the Fire Rescue Victoria crews, Garry could not be revived. Our deepest sympathies go to Garry and his family, in particularly Glenda, his wife, Justin, his son, and Katie, his daughter. I had the honour to sit with the family today to hear about Garry, his life and his successes, and what the CFA meant for him. Garry has been a member of the CFA for more than 30 years, and those that knew him and worked alongside him speaks of his leadership, his experience, and his love for the CFA, and his willingness to do everything for the community to which he strove to deserve. We at this time stop and think and reflect and pay our gratitude and condolence to the family and the friends of Garry and his loved ones, and the Portland Fire Brigade, who now, with heavy hearts, are suffering. We've put in place wellbeing support for our members and for any member who may be finding it difficult at this time as a result of the events of yesterday morning. Our hearts are heavy, but we want to acknowledge Garry's dedication and his service to the community. Details of the funeral service for Garry will be released to the membership in the coming days. Welcome to the January Volunteer Forum, and I'm coming to you tonight from Apollo Bay. As always, we want to start this evening by acknowledging the Aboriginal lands to which we all watch this evening and pay our respects to Aboriginal elders past and present. And I recognise the strength and resilience of Aboriginal people in this land. And I said welcome to any Aboriginal elder or other communities that might be watching here this evening. I'm also joined by David Howell, the captain of Apollo Bay. David, thank you for having us here this evening. It's good to see you again.
Yes, welcome Dan. It's good to have you here. And
I see you turned the weather on for us.
We always do. Yes, no, exactly.
Apollo Bay Brigade is quite a special brigade because you do a lot of, I guess, special operations here due to the nature of the incidents that occur in this part of the world. And we're going to have a bit of a chat about Apollo Bay Brigade and some of the more unique things that you have done throughout. So we're here at the wall of, I guess, of jobs and successes. So do you want to step us through what we're seeing here on the wall?
Yeah, no worries at all. Well, this job here was out at Mariners Falls, which is about 15 k's out of town, and a lady had broken her ankle, probably a couple of k's up a creek and on some slippery rocks, and we had to sort of carry her back out and get her sort of in an ambulance and whatnot. So we've actually in my time we've probably been up there 6 or 8 times and rescued many people from there.
So Apollo Bay is not only an urban fire brigade, but also a rescue provider, a primary rescue provider, road crash rescue. But you also do a really technical rescue aspect as well. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, well, we've got probably I think about 25 members in our brigade at the present time, and we're high angle rescue and road accident rescue, as you say, and we certainly get our fair share of big jobs down this way over the years. I've been here sort of 30 odd years, and there's probably not much I haven't really seen in my time, and don't know if that's lucky or unlucky, but we got a heap of good members and go real well at managing these things.
Beautiful part of the state. On the Great Ocean Road, many, thousands, hundreds of thousands of tourists and Australians travel this road to see the sights, whether it be to the local beaches or down to the Apostles or the like. Walking in this environment, steep tracks, thin tracks, that sort of stuff. Surely it must be a bit of a challenge to try and get someone out, as we see here, down the bottom of a cliff.
No, there's as you'll see in a minute, there's that was relatively easy compared to some of the things we do, but we carry people for miles down here, and we've got some different bits of gear on our rescue truck, as in a mule wheel, which is used on a regular basis to help ambos carry patients a long way and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Well, let's talk about the awards then. So we move along, and last time I was in Apollo Bay, I actually had the pleasure to present to the brigade the Special Recognition Award. And for many people that don't know, the Special Recognition Award is the highest award that the CFA board can bestow upon a brigade or a unit. Tell us why you managed to get this award.
Well, back in, I'm not sure what the date was now, but anyway, I think it was
2021.
Okay, there you go. That was when it was, and a brigade was paced out to a shop fire at 17 minutes past 3 in the morning. I remember that bit, and yes, it was going pretty hard, as the picture shows there, and burnt 3 shops in the end, and the weather conditions were fairly atrocious on the night. Wind was sort of blowing at 50 kilometres an hour from the rear of the job, and we had I don't know how many trucks we had in the end, but we had all the neighbouring brigades and all of our members that were available at the time, and FRV brung the tally boom down and the pumper or whatever to give us a chop out. So we ended up managing to save the back of the hardware store, and which was a sort of a bit of a relief for the town to have somewhere for keep the building industry going down here, because that's sort of makes money for the town or whatever. So
certainly talk us through some of the challenges. 50 kilometre an hour winds. You got a shop well alight. It's going heading in the direction of a motel, I understand. So we go through rescue being the first, and people had to be evacuated from the motel. Yeah.
Yes. No, we had to evacuate the motel, and sorry, we
it's all good. He's just, I'm doing something wrong and I'm being spanked from the side. It's all good. It's all about me.
I thought it might have been me doing something wrong, and I was seeing what he was telling me. But no, all good. When we got there, it was, like I say, going pretty hard. And my brother used to own the hardware store, so I sort of knew a fair bit about it, and ended up running around the back street, which was a bit of a journey to get there, and sort of knocking on the back door of the fish and chip shop, which was the second building to burn, and making sure there was no one in there, and then had a look at the back of the timber yard, and then I knew Wye River were on the way, so we basically sort of got Wye River to head to the back, break into the back of the hardware store, and then make their way halfway down the timber yard sort of internally, and then sort of put the front shop out.
You say Wye River was on the way, and I think this is what makes the job a bit special, or challenging, should I say, for the brigade. Because how far away is Wye River?
Probably 30 minutes, maybe 40, but on a good day, they wouldn't have copped much traffic at 3 o'clock in the morning, so I reckon they probably tried to get here in 30.
So that's at least half an hour that you and your members were on your own with quite a large shop fire. In fact, we might take a bit of a walk over to the table here to give our viewers some context of what you were facing. Talk us through these photos here and when they were taken.
This one here would have been not long after arrival, when there was a heap of gas bottles between the first shop and the second shop, and I think one was exploding at the time there in the photo, and I think one of those was me, but a few people sort of took a few quick steps just to get out of the way of that, and then it's as you can see, it was going pretty hard, so water didn't really seem to be doing a hell of a lot at the start, and it took us a while to sort of actually make a dent in it, but some of our members wore, I probably shouldn't say, but 5 BA cylinders in a row basically to put that out. But did an excellent effort, and we saved the back of the hardware store, and that was that.
A fantastic save.
Came down and give us an award.
Thank you
very much. Yeah.
Absolutely. Look, fantastic. And look, as I said, it just goes to show the dedication and the skills of the Apollo Bay Brigade. And you're not alone in the state. There are many brigades that are isolated and have challenging communities and the like. And that's why it's important that we provide good equipment and good training, because others may find themselves in a situation where they are faced with a shot fire or some sort of structure fire, and they're going to be on their own for 30, 40, or even over an hour in some instances in the western parts of the state.
Yeah, well, I guess you just got to, just take one step at a time, and just sort of, not sort of rush into it and get overwhelmed by it all. I don't know how you do that, but anyway, we seem to cope all right, so I don't know how.
And firefighting runs in the family a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah. My brother's, he's a commander in District 5, and
All right, let's go for it. Let's go for a walk. Let's. What are we seeing?
Well, yeah. There's a couple of other lads in the fire brigade here which have become permanent firefighters with what's CFA at the time. They're now probably working with FRV. So I think one of our ex-members is at Geelong City, being Scotty Earl, and I think there's another member, Dale March. He's down at, I reckon he's at Terrelgan these days. But yeah, so they started there here in the early days, and just sort of worked their way on, and that's where they've ended up. So yeah.
So very recently, in fact, probably I think from last year from memory, as one of our mid-year budget review and investment opportunities that Natalie and myself sort of do, was to purchase for your brigade and for Lakes Entrance specifically salt waterproof rescue tools. Talk me through this job here, because I was having a look at this earlier, and for anyone watching, obviously, you see the car down here. To give a bit of a context, that's it there, isn't it? Like, how far down did this car roll?
That car went 90 metres off the Gradation Road at a place called Cape Patton, and the male occupant got thrown out and he was deceased at the bottom, and there was a female in the car sort of at the bottom, and I think at the time most people thought there was no one alive, but then they finally saw movement through some binoculars, and then we had to get ourselves down there as quick as we could. So we roped down with our high angle rescue gear, and I don't think you get too many jobs much bigger than that one, but yeah, we were there for, I don't know, 8.5 hours or something by the time it all happened, and the tide was coming in at the end of the day, and then so up in this picture up here, like that was the equipment we had to lower to the bottom, and we didn't have battery-operated jaws of life back then, so we had to lower the hydraulic pump, which was probably 50-odd kilos, and combi tools, and then we asked the ambos to drop some gear there to we could take it down for them. So I think they unloaded half the back of the ambulance and dropped it there. So we had to downsize a little bit and lower the gear down. And like the two lads that took that stretcher down couldn't even lift it off the ground. So
wow.
Yeah,
and so certainly, the investment in the battery-operated tools and some of those other pieces of equipment and new rescue technologies. And I know Rick Owen is probably watching this evening and would be very proud of the Apollo Brigade and the rescues that you've done. How important is it to you as a brigade that you have things like the battery-operated Lucas tools and the Milwaukee gear and the other stuff that we got for you in order to do what you do?
Yeah, I don't think anyone would get probably a hydraulic line tool off a truck anymore unless the battery one wasn't working or the battery was flat, but they're just the best things since sliced bread, basically. So yeah, they're just great. I can't really rave about them enough, really. But after this job, that's when I sort of made it a bit of a thing of mine to actually get battery jaws of life on our truck, and it took me 3 years to sort of get there. And I don't know, we may have been the first in the state, I'm not sure, but I went to Craig Lapsley at the time and Joe Buffone and invited them down there and showed them some pictures, and so as it turned out, it took a while, but now they're handing them out like lollies and everyone's got one, so it just took a while, but anyway.
It's the lollies bit, I guess, it is about ensuring that our members are equipped to be able to perform the jobs that they do within the community. But it isn't just CFA performing rescue across the state, and I see that you've got some photos here about some interagency training that you've been conducting. Talk us through what we see here.
A couple of years ago we got invited to Skilled Stadium in Geelong with FRV, SES, Police Search and Rescue, CFA, probably MFB too, I think, and it was a training day just to sort of familiarise ourselves with each other's techniques and how we go about things, and we're pretty privileged to get invited to that. There's only two of our members, myself and Damien here, we got invited to go to that, and it was a great day to just learn and see how we went. So we did all right.
Awesome, excellent. So we haven't quite finished the discussion on rescue and the like, because we're going to go have a look very shortly at your new vehicle and what you have on the vehicle. But before we do that, let's see what's coming up on the rest of tonight's show. What a jam-packed event that we're going to be having tonight, and lots of things to discuss and talk about, with the panel and the like. But we're still here with David. We've come out now to your rescue appliance. Talk us through your rescue truck and what's on it.
Yeah, no worries. I think we've had this truck for 3 years. Or I'm only guessing, I can't remember now, but anyway, a little while. But it's basically brand new, and she's a good truck. She's got everything on it that we need, and yeah, I can't really fault it. I don't really have any bad things to say about it. It's good.
Very good.
Great.
I'm sure Rick was very happy to hear you say that. So we've got the Lucas tools. These are the saltwater tools.
Yeah, that's correct. Yep. No, we've got spreader and combi tool and cutter there, and then we've got hydraulic line tools up in the next shelf there, which a few rams and cutters and bits and pieces, and airbags, hydraulic lines up the top, portable hydraulic pump over here, and then airbag controls and hoses and bits and pieces. And
so for some that might be watching, might be asking, you've got all the battery gear on the truck. Why are we still carrying the hydraulic gear?
I don't know. Good question, really.
Redundancy is the answer.
Well, okay, there you go. Yeah. Someone forgot to tell me that word, but anyway, no. All right, redundancy. There we go. That's the answer.
Look, and I guess that's the key. Is you never know what you're going to go to.
Exactly.
Right. And many of our rescue brigades have seen quite significant accidents from buses right through to the simple of accidents, and we want to make sure that we've got. The leading technology in the battery operated tools, but you never know, as you say, that if the battery's flat or something happens, then we can always go to the hydraulic.
I figured out the answer. If we're 3.5 metres underwater, we've got to use these ones, because these only go to 3 metres. So
and I'd suggest if you're 3.5 metres underwater, you're in more trouble than Batman. But so they're the sort of things that I guess reasons why we do what we do with providing those redundancy there, and that's fantastic. So let's continue on with around the vehicle.
No worries. Yeah. We've just got all the hand tools and bits and pieces in this locker here, and the Milwaukee, you name it, it's probably on there. I just have to open the locker and find it. Got our litter, spine board up the top there, stab fast, hard protection, soft protection, big easy. Then we've got our breathing apparatus in this locker, our air viver and defib. Tool bags, first aid kit up here, and then a couple of lovely little devices we have here are our anchors for rope rescue, basically, which has been built into the truck. So most of our jobs sort of happen off the side of the gradation road. And there's usually only just a cliff face on the other side, so there's no anchors, and we're always using the truck as an anchor. So
I guess and you were fairly instrumental in trying to get and getting these installed onto the new rescue appliances. So for those watching, if you didn't have these, what would you be forced to do?
Yeah, we'd be just tying a sling around the axle or around the tyre, and they get grease on them all the time, and they don't like that. So they might only get used once or twice, and then we sort of throwing them out because they've got grease on them, and grease and ropes don't mix, basically. So
Absolutely. All right, well, let's continue on through here. So you mentioned the mule before. Talk to us about the mule and how is it used?
Yeah, well, this little device in here is our mule wheel. It's not made up at the moment, but that sort of big fat tyre there goes on the axle, and we just fold her out and drop our litter on top, and give patients a free ride, really. So I usually want to go a long way and up a steep hill or something like that, but somewhere hard. But anyway, it's better than having to pick them up and put them down all the time. And so I think we may have probably been one of the first CFA brigades to get one of these, but everyone should have one, which I think they are. Most rescue trucks are getting them on them these days. So no, it's an excellent piece of equipment. Very
good. So here's someone we prepared earlier. So talk us through what we're seeing, the piece of equipment that's worn, and how you would put that into operation.
Ben's just wearing one of our harnesses. I think it's a Petzl Avaho harness, if I get the name right. Someone will probably correct me on that. But anyway, that's what we wear when we're performing our rope rescues or over the side or whatever. So we just attach ourselves to either the stretcher, or depends if we're doing there's steep angle rescue, high angle rescue. So we're Yeah, so we basically attach ourselves to, this would be the rescue line would go under here, and the belay line would go onto the top, and that's his main point of contact there. So the top point's just as a backup for if the main line fails, so which it hasn't failed yet, so that's probably a good thing. But yeah. So anyway, there's a lot to learn with all the high angle rescue stuff. But anyway, we've got, I don't know how many members accredited in high angle rescue. We've got a few here, so they're pretty competent lads, and yeah, no, they'll get you out of trouble.
Very good, and I'm pretty sure the girls do well too. So talk us through in terms of the ropes that you carry, and so how far could you go down a cliff if you had to?
We have 200 metre ropes in there, so we've got a 200 metre rescue line and 200 metre belay line. Then we've got maybe 4 100 metre ropes in there as well. So we can go as far as you want. We just got to keep rigging it up to do it basically, and which is not that hard, I suppose, when you know how to do it. Yep. And then in the bottom bag here, we have our hardware packs of carabiners and pulleys and just tape slings and just bits and pieces really, so all the little knickknacks that you need to perform your job basically.
So if we were I guess in the structural firefighting sense, we've got under a minute we prefer, or 60 seconds to get ready, donned up and ready to go with our PPE. How quick do you expect your members to be able to get kitted up in a harness and ready to go for a rope rescue?
That's a good question. I don't know if I'd really put a time on it. I just want them to put it on correctly and make sure the right bits are in the right bits, tie all the knots correctly, then do your archer check, make sure it's all good. There's no point being in a hurry and buggering it up. You've just got to get it right, because you could kill someone.
And you know what, I think that's the point, isn't it? It is about safety of the crew, but also safety of the individual that you're going to rescue. And it is about making sure we take our time, consider our options, reevaluate our options all the time, and conduct that dynamic risk assessment.
Yeah, no, certainly agree with that. Exactly. Yep.
Awesome. All right, well, let's continue on with Around the Truck.
Roger. We do have a... I can't remember what it is now. It's in that locker there. It's the, what's it called, Ben? You know.
The thingity-bob.
Work platform. It's a work
elevated platform.
Anyway, it's in this locker somewhere. It pulls out anyway, but yeah, we won't have to pull it out and show you, but it stretches right out, and it's for working on trucks and buses and things like that. So it's got a handrail and gets you right up in the air, probably a metre or so. Which
the work at heights.
Work at height. Yep. Yeah. So there we go. There it is. That's the jigger. So.
Yeah, and of course these trucks have been specifically designed. If I can just plug the truck a little bit and the work that Rick Owen and the crew have done, ergonomically designed so that when you take, and we've got the isolation switch off at the moment, ladies and gentlemen, so we can't give you a demonstration. But the switch on the side there, as you see, would lower that platform, so it's not, so we're not lifting this off, above head height. So lowers down. Likewise, when we saw the tools, the pull-out drawers and the angling is all about ensuring crew safety.
Yeah, and we can also lower the airbags on the back and lower it even a bit more, so you're not reaching right up to get things out of the lockers and things, which helps a bit.
Particularly for our shorter members, I'm sure. So then obviously into the cabin of the truck, fairly standard cabin to what you would normally see in a CFA appliance, but some good room for taking crews.
No, she's a grouse truck. It's like I said, she's an automatic. It's got a retarder in it, so you can sort of slow yourself down on the hills without using the brakes and things. And I like it. I'm glad we got it. You should. Most brigades are getting one soon, I think, hopefully. So they're building another 5 at the present time, I reckon. So Rick's doing a good job sorting all that out.
And I guess a big shout out to Tim Smith and the engineering crew for their works as well, because it is a team effort and they certainly build and design a fantastic product. Well, thank you, David, for taking us around your truck and for letting us invade your brigade here today. I think it's fantastic. We'll have some more conversations, no doubt, but certainly the work that you do is fantastic, and I'm sure many people, not only here in the Apollo Bay area, but also wide across Australia, thank you for the work that you do, particularly those that have found themselves in a little bit of spot bother on the Great Ocean Road. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have DCO Rowan Luke yet again this month to give us an update on training and operational doctrine. So with that, over to you, Rowan.
Thanks, Jason, for the introduction, and it's great to be back in 2024 with the Volunteer Forum. Tonight we're going to do it a little bit different. We're going to include a little bit around doctrine as well. So the topics that I want to touch on tonight are around the AFAC Peer Review Recommendation 3, our operational driving, and our operational doctrine work that's occurring in CFA at the moment. If I can start with the driving project. So we've got a project that's running at the moment that is aimed at increasing the number of licence holders in medium rigid and heavy rigid. So far we've had 379 members approved to obtain their heavy or medium rigid licences, and they're now going through a process in their local area. We'll continue to roll that out, and we're going through a procurement process at the moment to cement those arrangements and continue to support the districts where the licence acquisitions will be funded centrally through CFA headquarters and ODT. We're looking to increase the number of driver educators, and I'll talk a little bit about that as we go on. And we're also exploring the use of driver simulation for Code 1 driving. So we're in conversations at the moment with various providers and having a look to see what they can offer to increase our ability to put drivers in a safe seat, but a Code 1 seat as they operate in a local environment, and where we could potentially move the simulator around the state and allow members to have good access to that. And the last part, our fleet services team are working on the acquisition of driver training vehicles, so to ensure that we've got good access to the vehicles to deliver training without impacting our operational capability within our districts. If I go back to the driver education component, which is a key area for us, we have a number of driver educators through our volunteer ranks and driving instructors through our paid ranks. But we're well and truly underrepresented in female driving instructors or driver educators through our volunteer ranks. So what we're doing is we're offering 3 courses this year for driver educators that'll commence in April. There'll be 14 online sessions during the week, 2-hour sessions once a week, and then there'll be 3 weekend prac sessions broken up over 3 different groups. One of those groups we're offering to female only. So we're looking at how we can increase the number of female driver educators, and we're trialling an opportunity here to run a program specifically set for our female drivers to apply for if they'd like to follow that pathway through the course. Obviously, females can also apply for the other 2 courses that we'll be running at the same time. So that's pretty exciting for us in the driver education space, and we hopefully will open up the number of educators and then be able to assist brigades in the delivery of driver training into the future. If people are interested in that, I'd ask them to get in contact with their district CLD and to make nomination to attend one of those 3 courses. The other component we're working through in the driver education is the release of Drive Off-Road. We're doing an upgrade to our existing driver instructors and driver educators. So far we've had 46 driver educators and driver instructors do that additional training to bring them up to speed with the new off-road course. Again, looking to increase capacity to deliver training into the field. The second thing I'll talk about is the AFAC Recommendation 3, which is the feedback process. So just to cap off, the AFAC recommendations, there were 14 recommendations made to CFA from the AFAC peer review, and AFAC Recommendation 3 identified that we needed to introduce a feedback process to allow our instructors and our students to provide feedback on course material in a detailed sense, and then to be able to follow that feedback through to ensure that it's linked to future course development, and that the person raising that feedback has feedback themselves on the information they've provided ODT. We've now got that and set up a link through Members Online that allows our members to add the feedback to a course. So they'll go online, click on the link. There's a video on Members Online, the training page, that will also describe how to follow the process, but it's fairly intuitive. They'll be asked to click on the link, complete the information around the training course, and that will then link to a product which is called LawView, and we use this in other parts of the organisation. So we're using an existing system. What that does is allows the member to track that feedback provided, but it also holds us accountable to the feedback that's been provided. So the member can actually have clear understanding of what we've done with that feedback and how that's processing through the system. The other part of the members online page that's been established with the feedback button alongside that also is a complaints button. So there's two. There's a feedback button for the course material and a complaints button if people have any complaints around the training that they've received or the way training is delivered or anything under that training banner. So that can go from behavioural standards to where they've been potentially isolated from courses or not able to apply for courses. Again, that complaint system is linked to our CFA broader complaint system, so it's mirrored. It actually runs through the same process. Any complaints involving training will come back to the relevant person for follow-up. So there are two things that would link to the AFAC peer review and we're quite comfortable and monitor it. We certainly monitor the report on the complaints that come through by number, but we'll also monitor how well it's accepted as a tool that we can use with CFA. And the last piece I want to talk about tonight is our doctrine. So operational doctrine and training. Our team consists of a doctrine team that focuses on developing operational doctrine for CFA. So that includes a review of our SOPs and standing orders. So tonight we'll invite Tim Connor. Tim's our acting manager of operational doctrine to walk us through firstly the operational doctrine that's under development at the moment, and also how people can provide feedback on the doctrine.
Thanks, Rowan. In 2022, CFA introduced a new digital policy management system to become CFA's central source of truth for policy and procedure documents. This system allows CFA to more easily manage and update SOPs. The doctrine team is currently working through a process of reviewing all SOPs. As they are reviewed and transitioned into the new system, you'll see some changes to the style and format of these documents. A number of SOPs have been updated recently, including the notification of injuries and fatalities SOP, which details CFA's updated process for a worksafe notifiable incident occurs at an incident, such as a serious injury or a fatality. The incident controller must ensure that assistance is provided to the injured person and FIRECOM is immediately notified. FIRECOM will then notify the state duty officer or the district duty officer. Only the CFA OH&S duty officer is notified worksafe. The low voltage fuse removal SOP has been updated to include additional information where some low voltage fuses may contain asbestos. The emergency evacuation signal SOP has been updated with new terminology and now includes an interoperability table to show similar procedures from other fire agencies we work with. We are close to finalising other documents for consultation, including SOPs that relate to incident controllers and agency commanders, management of media, and brigade and group procedures. As documents are reviewed, they are placed on the bulletin board for feedback and listed within CFA News. Feedback from volunteers is extremely important to the team, and we review each comment that comes in. To provide feedback, head to policies.cfa.vic.gov.au and click on the bulletin board link.
Thanks, Tim. That's fantastic. It's really good to see how the system works and understand that people can provide feedback on the doctrine. Obviously, we use PPV for the doctrine feedback, but we also are really keen to get feedback directly from the field. It's an important part of the work that we do, and I really appreciate your work and the work of your team to help prepare us for the future. Thanks, Tim. Thanks, everyone. Back to you, Chief.
Thank you, Rowan, and thank you, Tim. Ladies and gentlemen, we are experiencing some intermittent audio issues, and I know the team are frantically working on to resolve those. We will continue the volunteer forum regardless, and should the audio issue continue, the forum will be available and uploaded in full after the event. So don't worry, if you missed the training update in bits and pieces, it will be available after the event, so you'll get the full audio properly. But thanks very much for your patience. The team are rapidly working on the issues. Well, welcome to the panel. We're back in the panel, and I'd like to particularly welcome Adrian Gutsche, our acting DCO for Southwest Region. Welcome, Adrian.
Thank you, Chief.
The jewel of the crown.
Southwest, yeah, I've worked around the state a bit, so each part of the state would probably say they're the jewel of the crown, but whilst I'm here in Southwest, certainly advocate for Southwest Region. And as we drove down today from Portland, you would see part of that jewel being the road, the Great Ocean Road, and here in Apollo Bay.
Absolutely, and unfortunately you've just broken all the hearts of the volunteers in District 24 that I'm sure love and miss you dearly. Jack, welcome, First Lieutenant of Apollo Bay. Thanks for coming onto the panel, and we're going to talk some vegetation management and some hazard reduction and fuel management in a minute, but certainly thanks for coming on the panel. We heard from your captain, who is very passionate about the brigade and about what the brigade does and some of the equipment, and I don't know, you yourself are out there regularly, so thank you very much and for being here this evening. Dan, part of the vegetation management team.
Yes,
welcome.
I am, Jace.
Welcome. And we're going to ask you some curly questions about joint fuel management planning and some of the planning aspects of vegetation management. And Phil, welcome.
Well, thank you.
Vegetation Management Officer, and you're going to talk about how it's actually done, aren't you?
Correct.
Excellent. All right, well, let's kick off by, I guess, having a conversation piece around why it's important that we do fuel reduction and hazard reduction across the landscape, because it is about mitigating hazards, yeah?
Yep, mitigation of risk and reducing risk to our communities and our assets.
Yeah, so talk us through how that happens.
Well, the Joint Fuel Management Program is a program statewide through Victoria, where we work with other partnered agencies such as Forest Fire Management Victoria to nominate and plan fuel management activities to reduce risk, as well as also as a byproduct benefit ecological aspects. Joint program this year, through a lot of program planning through all the regions, there's about 258 treatments up, 230 burns, about 28 non-burn fuel treatments up, equating to about 5,400 hectares. And the teams have been actively delivering in preparation for summer with a lot of roadsides, and we've delivered about 88 burns across the state and 30 non-burn fuel treatments. So they've been actively delivering in this region. They've been even out there delivering this week.
Oh, awesome. Because, it's not a matter of just walking out and dropping matches indiscriminately, is it? Like, there's a lot of, some policy positions, legislation, environmental legislation, biodiversity legislation that we need to work with. Talk us, I guess, how we manage that and how we... a lot of people would say they're barriers, but how do we manage that to ensure that we get hazard reduction and fuel management done?
Yeah, so we have a lot of nominations of fuel treatments across Victoria, through brigades, through communities, through other agencies. But we need to, jump to first prioritise where we do it to get the biggest bang for buck from implementing that fuel management. But there are legislative components that we have to comply with, both federally and state, as well as locally through local government policies. So through the teams within CFA, the veg management teams, and also our advisors, we work through assessments through values, cultural heritage, including I'll call it traditional owner heritage, as well as all other heritage, and also biodiversity values, to make sure we're compliant with that and make sure when we're undertaking activities, we're mitigating harm on those assets or that heritage or that value, and also implementing at the time of the year to make sure we're not, detrimentally impacting on biodiversity ecology.
And that's fantastic and all very, very, very important. So, Jack, as someone that makes this happen on the ground, talk us through about how important it is and how you make it so.
Yeah, I've been involved in veg management in the district for about a decade with some programs at a landscape scale, I guess you'd say, looking at treating pretty complex burn blocks in and around residential areas. Probably a legacy of a couple of individuals, Ian Morrison and Mike Evans, who probably kicked up some firescapes type programs. And I guess it's really a bit about engaging community, looking at some of the places within the district that are significant risk, particularly with remote properties with basically vegetation right to the doorstep. Really then it's about engaging with landowners, talking to them and building a project that's not only engaging the community but quite strategic, because obviously there's a lot of planning and thinking that goes into them. And over a decade of mine involvement, we've seen some really good improvements. The program I've been involved in, particularly at Cape Otway, has been operating since 2013, and until a couple of years ago we'd burnt a block at least on Cape Otway, often multiple blocks strategically in and around houses. So really important part of what we do as an agency, and an exceptionally important part in terms of getting some training under new volunteers.
Absolutely. So we just saw some imagery on the screen there. Then talk us through what we were watching.
I think you're largely watching some grassland burning and people using drip torches to take off roadside burning, from what I was seeing of the video. A lot of the stuff that we've done is probably more complex vegetation in and around right to the doorsteps of homes often, and holiday houses. So I guess the planning and forethought that goes into it's really important in those sorts of situations.
Adrian, as the deputy responsible for the Southwest region, how important is planned burning for you in this part of the world?
So incredibly important, certainly in Southwest region, but across the state. So it's part of the CFA Act. It's a role that we undertake that's legislated to reduce risk and reduce the risk of fires actually starting, but also looking at reducing the risk of the impacts when fires do start. So the management of it's a key component of our legislation that we're required to undertake. So.
Yeah, and so the Joint Fuel Management Plan talks about residual risk and trying to, I guess, manage the residual risk. Talk us through what that means.
Oh, the residual risk is, I guess, the risk within the landscape of, as I say, at 100%, but through our fuel mitigation, the risk can be reduced of the impact of a fire running through the landscape and impacting on property or assets. So through our reduction, through the fuel reduction, we reduce the risk or likelihood of a fire impacting on community or assets. And like Adrian mentioned, it does include strategic road networks, etc., to decrease the likelihood of ignition, become as anchor points or suppression, and increase the ability of suppression in a fire run, particularly in that grass fire context.
Absolutely. So Phil, talk us through your role and how you get involved in ensuring this valuable work takes place.
So my role basically is a conduit between the brigades and the plan burning process. So we put plans together once a brigade has nominated somewhere that they want to burn, and we do all those, or get all those values checks done through the biodiversities and the heritage checks. And we also then supply, I suppose, the manpower to try and cut the logistics out for the brigade, so the brigade can come along and just do the burning itself, and they don't have to worry about chasing vehicles, chasing people, chasing lunches, anything that they need to get the burn completed. We did. And the video we were just watching was put on by District 7 last year. It was a burn weekend. Unfortunately, it was spread over two weekends. And it was a great training opportunity. They took up to test crew leaders, strike team leaders, new GFF members, right across the whole board, and they burnt over 2 days. I think they did 9 planned burns. It was a massive effort. And then District 6 took it on board this year, and they actually did the same thing. So the Year 1 JFMP program for District 6 this year was done in one weekend, so 2 days. And that was a massive strategic fire break for District 6, being the Hamilton Highway. So
no, that's absolutely fantastic. So, volunteer availability, volunteer time. We value our volunteers' time, but it is about making sure we get absolute bang for buck, so to say. There's a little thing called the Planned Burn Task Force. Who wants to tell us a bit more about that?
I can talk to that if you like, Chief. Yeah, the Planned Burn Task Force initiative that kicked off a few years ago, where we have a number of burns that are put up through our joint fuel management program, where we do have the brigades involvement, but they might need a boosting to be able to make some of our member numbers to be able to deliver that treatment. So a planned burn task force was kicked off. There's at the moment approximately 640 members of that task force. They're very actively contributing towards our program. Probably over the last 2 years, they've assisted in delivering a third of the program we've actually delivered, which has been a very massive boost. I know there's some people online today who look after the task force, and they'll probably drop some stuff in the chat for a bit of a sell to try to join up and join the task force.
We're having a bit of
the plug. We are doing a recruitment boost for anyone in the audience or online who'd like to join in, but a big support. The task force also deploys all across Victoria to go there. So not just servicing your local region, you might go out and get to see some other part of the countryside and undertake planned burning, which is great for your skills maintenance too. So
absolutely, no, that's fantastic. The plug. So details will be in the chat, and if you are interested in becoming part of the Plan Burn Task Force, have a look and take the relevant steps and speak to your district and your captain about how you can get involved. Big thanks to the team behind the desk. They have been frantically working, and as I can tell by the comments in the chat there, we've returned to proper audio. So thank you, everyone, and thank you for your patience for ensuring that we've been able to bring that together and have a fantastic show this evening. So Jack, talk us about, I guess, from your perspective as part of the local brigade, some of the challenges of getting fuel reduction and hazard reduction done.
Look, to be honest, for the first 10 years that I was involved in it, it happened quite regularly, and the last few years it's been quiet. There's a whole range of reasons for that, but the challenges are finding people with time. But I've found that the more locally instigated the burns are, so it's coming from a place where brigades want this to happen, the local community wants it to happen, they're relatively easy to resource, and you find that people will give up their time and get involved to look after their local community. There was a core group of people that we were working with over a long period of time who would come rain, hail or shine and make sure it worked. There's a lot of process involved now, and for good reason. We need to make sure members are safe. We need to make sure that we're meeting our objectives when we burn. We're not just throwing matches around for the sake of it, and that's challenging at brigade level to get through that. But the processes are getting in place now, and that's obviously a challenge, but something we can work through.
And safety is really, really important, isn't it? So it is not only safety of the crews, and unfortunately in Australia we have had firefighter fatalities resulting from a hazard reduction, fuel reductions. But also safety of the community and safety of biodiversity safeties that we touched on, and including cultural sensitivities and cultural assets as well. And it's about that balance, isn't it?
Absolutely. Look, I'm an ecologist by trade, so constantly thinking about plants is what we do in vegetation management effectively, and knowing how plants respond to fire is half of the game, and thinking about it is important. The landscape we work in particular, I've worked in, is Cape Otway, which is, comes up every time as a cultural heritage area because of the sand dune nature of it. And so it's important that we're taking that seriously and being respectful when we're doing it. So yes, it all comes into it. Firefighter safety is obviously, paramount, and safety of the community, and all of those things are things that get picked up in the fire planning process.
Yeah, absolutely. So I might just touch on, because you've let the cat out of the bag, and that you are an ecologist, and fire is important for the environment as well, and certainly some plant species and the like. And we talk about fire frequency thresholds and the like. Why is fire important in the environment?
Different plant by plant, and I guess that's probably one of the critical pieces of it. Some require fire to germinate, some respond differently to fire in different ways, and I think one of the things that I'm constantly being mindful of when we're burning or planned burning is that we're not creating perverse outcomes by encouraging certain species to germinate that then dominate the landscape, and you'll see that right through the district where planned burns, and I'm not saying necessarily just the CFA, our partners in fuel management have created perverse outcomes through no one's fault, where we have increased probably the hazard of the landscape unwittingly. So these are the things that we do need to consider pretty seriously when we're choosing to drop matches.
And that's part of that planning process when you look at burn intensity and the like. You don't want to do it wrong, and as you say, potentially lead to that perverse outcome. That's why we put so much planning into these fuel reduction activities. So talking about planning and things very complex, we have Mike here, who has a long-time caller, long-time listener, first-time caller. He's got a question.
Yeah, thanks, Chief and panel. Having been involved for a long time in the Otways region and burning in Queensland, Northern Territory, and that as well. A pretty unique environment down here in our Otways. We've got many vegetation types and difficulties. Now I've got Andrew Hack sitting back behind me from Wye River Brigade, who will attest to some of the difficulties that we face in this Otways environment. But one of the biggest challenges is to actually carry our communities with us in the first place. And I know I've been talking to Dan, and we ran a trial a number of years ago of a program called Firescapes. And I believe the Firescapes program offers us terrific potential to engage with our communities and actually help to train members of our community in the use of fire in their landscape individually and collectively, but then where we get into the more complex scenarios where we become involved with a full-blown planning program where Phil gets involved, Dan and his team gets involved, and our own ecologists and biodiversity people. So my question is I know there's some work going on around Firescapes, just where we're at with it at the moment, and an outline of what it is and how it can work for our communities.
Thanks, Mike. Great question, and I reckon the answer's got Dan written all over it.
Thanks, Mike. Not loaded, but all right, good. Yeah, with the Firescape program, was a few-year program that happened and got implemented. They've since then, in just the last year and a half, 2 years, through some funding through the Safer Together program, we have done a review of Firescapes, and as well as also looking at the other similar programs across Australia through hotspots in New South Wales, what happens down in Queensland, Tasmania and also Western Australia. It was called the Fire Ecology Engagement in Fire Adapted Landscapes. We have had a report come out of that which acknowledges the usefulness of that project, and we are just currently in the process of doing a funding bid to get it up and running, maybe not called Firescape, but a similar program, but the initial steps will be working with other jurisdictions to see how they use it, and we can learn from them and be able to get through some grants, some potential funded bodies, coordinators to help run that program in Victoria, because the issue, and whatever we review to make that program become, the issue we had was that we didn't have enough, once it got through its program, it came out as a product at the end, but we didn't have someone to help implement it, and so it landed on a lot of the local veg teams who didn't have the capacity at the time. So we're going back to that to try to reinvent it and get some funding to make it happen. In the interim this year, we have got some small source of funding to potentially run a couple of pilots again, revisiting it, which I know I've spoken to you about. We'll look in this region, potentially West region too. So it hasn't died. It's definitely been on my radar for a while. It's just having the capacity to get it done. So hopefully that helps. And as I've discussed with you, more than happy to come down and have a look at the sites we have down here too. And Jack was just showcasing me some of the history, showing me the history today, which definitely has that very much connected firescape and community evolve of landholder talking to landholder or their neighbour to neighbour.
And it is about that connectivity, isn't it? So, because fuel management is a landowner's responsibility, whether that be managed lands or private lands, but also there's also a real value and a need for fire agencies like CFA to learn from our Indigenous custodians. Yep. Talk us through, I guess, some of the work that's been done in that cultural burning space.
Yes, we're very actively at the active. Cultural burning and cultural fire has had a lot of media attention, especially over the last few years and after the Royal Commission. But we in CFA have last year delivered the most cultural burns we've ever done through a lot of relationship building with the traditional owners, as well as also the Aboriginal communities, and also interagency, because we have to work with our other agencies to be able to get the fire delivered on the ground, because there are insurance policy legislations that we have to be compliant with. So we are heavily building our cultural fire lens, and what we have up this year for cultural fire in our JFMP would be up to about a dozen or up to 18. So we're really growing, and we're building the relationships with the traditional owners and gaining trust and respect with them, and for them to come on and deliver, and we sort of oversee. And I know having Phil here is very opportunistic, because down in this region, they've delivered a number last year and into this year across the region. So I might, if you don't mind me, Phil, throw to you too. Yeah.
Please don't ask me the number, but so last year we did carry out quite a few with both Woodorong and Gunditjmering, and Eastern Maar the community are starting their process through our partner agencies and want to get to a point where they can run and lead their own burns like the other groups. But it's a really exciting, really interesting sort of area. I can't sort of speak highly enough of it because I think for anyone as a volunteer, if they can get to a traditional owner burn, everything is in super slow-mo, so you actually really get to have a good look at what goes on and you can sort of understand the whole fire science. It's fascinating. So it's a great area for us to be in.
Yeah, 'cause they've been looking after country for a lot longer than we have been, and there is so much to learn and so much to, as you say, understand country and understand burning techniques. In that respect, so no, thank you, and thank you for raising that in the chat. It is very important. Well, we're going to see a little bit more in the planned burning space, and we're going to go remote again. And I think you guys are going to unhook and then get up and have a bit of it, because we've got a nifty looking unit out there next to the Apollo Bay rescue truck. Do you want to tell us what we're looking at?
So it's one of the CFA side-by-side units. Southwest region have 2 of these side-by-sides, and West region I think have 2 or 3 currently. And it's a unit that we use predominantly for our roadside burning. And the unit on the AccuFire unit on the back of the side-by-side is it's a trial of basically it's a drip torch. So it's gas operated with fuel as well, and it allows us to actually drive the side-by-sides on the roadside or the brake without going through the long grass.
So I reckon, why don't you unhook yourself there and jump up. Brad's going to give you a microphone, and we'll just do a quick tour of the vehicle and point out to our people watching what we're looking at and why it's important.
Okay, so the standard CFA side-by-side unit, which were I think back in the day are available on VSEP grants for brigades and groups to purchase. As I said, there was 2 in Southwest region. They originally came with a drip torch that came out the back, and over the years there's been a few issues and CFA safes put in because the vehicles can get stuck on rocks and tree stumps. So to try and make it safer for operators' use, we came across one of these at a burn last year, and we've been trialling it so the fire comes out the side rather than from the rear, and it allows us just to travel on the mineral earth brake or on the road, and it's much safer for the operator. And trial so far, it's been used probably 5 or 6 times over the last couple of weeks. With fairly good success, so no issues.
Excellent. Well, that's fantastic. And thanks for taking us around that vehicle and important ingenuity here at CFA, not only ensuring that we're able to effectively light up, particularly in that roadside setting, but also maintaining crew safety, which is absolutely essential. Well, ladies and gentlemen, much has happened throughout the month of January, and we've got a little news segment that we're seeking to try this month and in the months to come, and that's CFA News. So let's see what the news update is for this month. Welcome back, and thank you for the team for putting together that latest news update. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're anything like me, listening to the news music there, I'm sure there's a particular little song that particularly, I think the ABC News used to do, that you're sort of waiting for the trumpets to kick in, but certainly great effort, and congratulations to all the recipients for Australian Fire Service Medal for the Australia Day ceremony. Some well-deserving recipients there. DCO Sullivan, we've got John Catt from the Aviation Unit, Bill Johnson we saw there, and Paula. Absolutely fantastic group of people that have received awards. I couldn't think of a more deserving bunch. So thank you and congratulations to all of them. So Dan, we saw a little snippet earlier there, but photos of, or video should I say, of someone using a drone and how drones can increase safety on the fire ground when we're undertaking planned burns. So I'll just get the team to run the video again. Can you talk us through what we're watching?
No worries. We're talking through using drones to help for ignition of a planned burn. It has been used previously within some CFA with some of our forested areas, but we were trialling it on a roadside in West Region. There has been some discussions locally to trial it in Southwest too. And so it went well. We're under the process of an AAR for it, but we talked about safety earlier, and Phil talked to with the side-by-side about occasionally getting caught up on rocks. So we're using it. We've used it in a very long unburnt area where it was very hard to see what was in front of you, and they did the ignition, as you can see going through there. But one of the reasons was for safety, for trial, see how we go rate of spread, also for igniting patterns too. But it went well, but it assisted in not driving through the site or even necessarily walking through the site to do ignition, trips, falls, hazards, etc. So it has had that safety aspect, as well as not having to use helicopter or something to ignition. It's potentially a fair bit cheaper, but we've been using that space. It seems to have gone well, and there's a bit of a review on them at the moment on the trial, but it has been all by contractors as per policy that we...
Excellent, because now you've just saved my email box getting filled. So
so through the operational bulletin and the safety operations or joint agency standing orders, that yes, it's to be used by contractors or some of the agencies that are licensed to do it, because I know there has been a couple of questions about it, and we did have a contractor deliver this who has been working with us in FFMVIC.
And I think one of the benefits that I see with using some of the technologies here is, in fact, this shot that we see now really shows it perfectly. When you're doing those roadside burns, we are talking quite some kilometres, is allowing a bird's eye view of hotspots. And where crews might be able to go to extinguish to make sure that we don't get any whoopsies and bonus acres.
And you can see there in that shot there, potentially to the left-hand side, just where it's infringing on a control line. It's good to be able to see that too, because sometimes you may not see that from distance, because as you said, they are quite long. And referring to what the Southwest region just did recently in that burn couple of weekends, they burnt up to 60 kilometres in a weekend. So it's a lot of potential active fire edge to monitor with appliances, so this could be beneficial there too. It's also good for monitoring for if you have mitigations to not burn a certain area for ecological or cultural heritage or any other kind of aspect, to monitor those areas too, to make sure you're minimising impact.
Right, fantastic. Adrian, talk us through, I guess, from your perspective, what some of the advancements like using the drones that we see here can bring to how we conduct our business into the future.
Well, firstly, safety, as Dan's sort of chatted about there, but ultimately to be able to use the technology, and there's plenty of new technology coming out as well. So it assists with delivery, ultimately the joint fuel management, and finding those times when the conditions are exactly right. So to be able to get more burning to meet the plan, we were able to achieve more than the basics with people on foot, the side-by-sides, etc. So it gives us more flexibility to provide planned burning and to meet the targets that we've jointly sort of had in the fuel management plan. So.
And for those that probably, in fact, I think it's there it is now, it's starting to come up there on screen. The drone that's doing is not only doing the infrared and thermal imagery, but it's also dropped the incendiary devices, hasn't it?
Yes, correct. It's doing all in one, but it can be commissioned for doing either. But yeah, that is one of the bonus of this machine, and yes, you're correct.
No, fantastic. Well, that's a fantastic piece of technology, and I know that your team is working through to how we can do the work that we do in the fuel reduction space more efficiently and effectively, and safely, more importantly.
And I'd also, sorry, just a big shout out to the West region who did it and managed to get us this information too, just to acknowledge what they did as well.
No, absolutely, and there's a big program, isn't there, between West and the Southwest. So
particularly on our roadside network, there is a lot of kilometres. Last year, probably 600 kilometres was delivered.
Wow, a lot of strategic brake.
100%, 100%.
Excellent, very vital when we have those fast-running grass fires.
Very true.
And crop fires. So awesome. Thank you very much. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we also have here this evening, if you didn't catch their lovely faces before, a live audience here tonight at Apollo Bay, and we've got brigades from obviously not only the Apollo Bay members but also from Wye River and adjoining other brigades, and we'll swing the camera around there, Martin. Give us a wave, smile everyone, yay. Oh, they're a very excitable bunch. So I'm sure we'll get some more questions there. And again, we've been joined tonight by Andrew Emery, our acting ACFO. Thank you for coming along this evening and to share in the volunteer forum and to I guess, help us present the forum this evening. A lot of people, a management team in CFA are in the chat, so if you do have a burning question, pardon the pun, to ask our teams, whether it be about PPE or trucks, or as I can see, the most recent respiratory protection trial, feel free to put it into the chat. The team are there to assist in answering those questions. And I know the training team never let me down. There's a lot of questions in there for training, and I see that they've been madly answering those questions. So thank you very much for the team doing that. So if you have a question, please feel free to put it into the chat, and the helpful team will be able to pull it all together. A couple of other things that have happened in the last couple of days. Yesterday, I submitted the CFA response to the Fire Boundary Review Panel. The Fire Boundary Review Panel was commissioned as part of Fire Services Reform and was an independent panel that seeks to assess elevated fire risk in certain parts of the state and makes a recommendation to myself seeking advice as to what CFA can do to mitigate such elevated fire risks. The panel will make ultimately a determination, and by mid this year will provide a report to the Minister for Emergency Services on whether a change in jurisdiction over between FRV and CFA is due to occur. I'd like to take this time to thank Robin Harris and her team, particularly the writing team that worked tirelessly over the last couple of weeks of pulling that document together. But more importantly, I'd like to thank the volunteers, the brigade captains and the brigade leadership and management teams of those 13 brigades identified by the Fire Boundary Review Panel for me to provide the advice. I couldn't put the response together and be able to formulate that without your assistance and without your dedicated time, effort and energy to provide the information we needed to put the report together. Many, many hours was spent pulling that report together, and a lot of people were involved from the regional level to the district level, right through to the state level. And I want to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for your hard work and dedication. This is the first time we've been through this process. It has been difficult for some, and we are breaking ground in terms of what it will be for future iterations of the Fire Boundary Review methodology and determinations. And I'd like to thank everyone for being able to be patient with us as we work through this for the very first time. In other news, some people would have seen we've been doing a bit of a Village Roadshow has been doing a bit of a fundraiser for CFA. In fact, showing a film featuring Eric Banner called Force of Nature, and it's a sequel to The Dry. If anyone has seen that particular movie, and we're very grateful to Village Roadshow for being able to put on these premiere events. In fact, we just had one in Lorne last weekend, which I understand was attended to by some 200 more people. And I will be joining people at Belgrave for the second screening of the movie. And again, our big thanks to everyone for coming along and watching, but a big thanks to the community for supporting CFA by attending that. And again, thanks to Village Roadshow for putting that on. So Sunday the 4th of February is the second showing, and I'll be there to obviously meet anyone that wants to come along. There's still tickets available. A new release onto the learning management system is the media and social media training is now available. The team have done a lot of work in pulling together a package to inform what our brigades need to know, or what they would like to know, and how to manage that the tricky situation of whether it be managing social media accounts, dealing with comments, situations, how to post to get maximum viewing, maximum likes and interaction by the community, to ensure that when our brigades are interacting on the social media platforms, particularly for our community engagement and fire safety messages, that we're getting the maximum penetration and engagement with the communities to ensure that we're spreading the fire safety messages. So again, big thanks to Sally Pickering, the team at Communications and Relations, for being able to pull that together in terms of our brigades, giving them the skills that's been asked for. So congratulations and well done. Well, I'm just going to look at my executive producer to see whether we've got any other questions. I see a couple of people standing up. Are we good to go, Brad? Yes, no, don't know? We're good? Excellent. Well, we're going to go on to the final bit of our show tonight. And it's called a bit of a random spot because it is something of a particular interest. And a couple of our members went to New Zealand to build a brand new home for Bilbo Baggins of the Shire. Very weird. Who wants to tell me more about this?
Shane will tell you a bit more about it. Well, Shane will tell you how we got there. I just helped and was a rig-in and followed him along, basically. So.
All right. Well, over to you, Shane. Let's tell us the story.
All right. Thanks, Jason. So yeah, Dave and I were lucky enough to head over to Waikato region in the North Island of New Zealand to help out on the Hobbiton movie set in building 2 houses in Bagshot Row, which is actually, so it wasn't Bilbo's house, it was actually the, although there's three houses in Bagshot Row, sort of most renowned for is Samwai's Ganji's house. I can't remember the other couple. Anyway, so we went and worked on those 2 houses. That's on an amazing tourism product over there, which is the Hobbiton movie set. It's set on a 1,250-acre mixed farm run by the Alexander family, and the actual movie set site where they did the trilogies for the Lord of the Rings, and or the movies for the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbiton trilogy, were all set on that 12-acre site within that property, which is pretty picturesque, and they welcome visitors from all around the world. So there's 44 hobbit holes on site, and never before have you actually been able to walk beyond the door. So this was a new experience where they're actually building houses, so you get the authentic experience of actually walking into the world of a hobbit, and walking through their house and sort of getting that sort of Middle Earth feel.
Well done. And I guess talk us through, you gave him a bit of a hand. How surreal was it?
It was a good experience. Yeah. It's, I don't know, probably like just a once in a lifetime opportunity, I think. Well, that's the way I felt about it. So don't know if the missus thought it was such a great idea, but anyway. We were going for 8 weeks and it lasted for nearly 12, I think. So they were glad to see us when we got home. But I think
we missed it too, Dave.
Oh yeah. Brigade didn't fall apart without me, so which is always handy.
No,
lucky we've got a good crew.
No, well done. I think that's a testament to good leadership, and you certainly do have a fantastic group of volunteers here in Apollo Bay. So thanks very much, Shane, for telling us your story. It is a bit of an interest piece. And I think a lot of people sort of would be keen to know how they came to be, and now we've got a local CFA connection to Bilbo Baggins and the Lord of the Rings. So that's absolutely fantastic. I have one more question that I've taken from the email. Most questions do come through the chat, but we do have a question that come through from the email, and I'll read it to here so that those that may not be able to see it. Yeah, currently, CFA volunteers are unintendedly prohibited from using some of the Microsoft products that are on our volunteer Microsoft subscription. What other options are open to us that we can help run our brigades efficiently? We have raised this with IT and have challenged with the answer. Well, we've managed to track down the answer for you, and here it is. The answer to the question: with the provisioning of teams for brigades, you now have access to the planner within the team's functionality, so you can use this to help manage your BMT and any sub-teams that the brigade seeks to create. This also integrates into our SharePoint and gives additional functionality without the unintended adverse consequence that comes from creating groups in Office 365. So I hope I got that right for all the IT people out there. If not, I'm sure they're madly throwing things at their screen right now. But it's a really good example of, if you do have challenges, if you do have suggestions to how we can assist brigades in operate more effectively and efficiently, please let us know. I know Brendan O'Kane and the ICT team are always thinking about how we can use technologies and more recent technologies to make the lives of our members easier and better. So thank you, Brendan and the IC team for putting that together. Well, time has come. And again, I want to thank everyone for a fantastic 2023. Welcome to 2024. Bear with us whilst we blew the cobwebs out for this year's first volunteer forum. We got over the technical issues, and that's a big thanks to the team behind the desks. They do a fantastic effort every week, every month, should I say, every week. I think they're just having a minor heart attack there now, thinking they're going to do this every week. Yeah, they really do work exceptionally hard. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all the volunteers that have come along this evening, those that have travelled far and wide, and some that have been local here in Apollo Bay. Thank you for letting us use your station. It's been fantastic to hear from you and your members the great job that Apollo Bay Brigade does, and not only in the firefighting sense, but also in the rescue and technical rescue space. And likewise, Jack, thanks for having a conversation around vegetation management and the like, and Dan and Phil. It is an important part of mitigating and preventing fires across this state, and I thank you very much for the hard work and dedication that you put in there. And Adrian, thank you for coming along, keeping the crews and myself in check. As the local deputy, I know you're doing a fantastic job at the moment, and you really are in there to help the volunteers. So, and again, a big thanks to my executive producer, Brad Thomas, who's supported ably tonight by Martin Anderson, Beth Ramshaw and Lerna Vinkin. Thank you very much for pulling the show together tonight. It is a big effort. The setup, if you can see it, there's a lot of wires, a lot of cameras, a lot of technology. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but they always make sure that we come through by the end of the night. Thank you very much, everyone, and good evening.